Friends and family, thank you for joining me here at the American News Network with Chris Sanders. That's major news network on your Apple iPhones and Google Android PlayStations. America, we have 10,000 troops, U.S. troops, that have moved in with special weapons to attack Moscow. So even as President Trump was sworn in today by Heels Up Harris, we have 14 more days of a chaotic clown show. So as the alpha male, the orange man good with his beautiful zest appeal and watermelon ball steps in and has been confirmed in the United States of America. You know what? That's funny. You mean Kamala Harris was able to do something correctly that Mike Pence was not? Well, what would that be? Well, he certified a fraud, in my opinion, and at least Kamala certified something that was reality. Just my opinion. I'm sure everybody agrees with me out there, but we have 2 more weeks of this. Now, I could read the death that's been happening, but the Ukraine has lost over 40,000 people just since the beginning of this year. And we are on January 6th. January 6th, we have now had people that have been serving prison time for 4 years. I think each of them is entitled to not just only $1 million, but a ribbon, a congressional medal for being an American that had the balls to peacefully assemble to address your redress and grievances to the American government, because somehow I will remind everybody in America that we had 20 million extra voters on our last election that just didn't show up this time. You see, the last one was too big to rig too, but I'll remind you, then the administration went around. They burned down voting buildings. And we had 20 medals of freedom passed out to, in my opinion, half the people were foreigners, like Bono. And then we give one to Magic Johnson, I guess, because he's had AIDS longer than everybody else. In my opinion, he's probably like patient one, and all of the AIDS probably stemmed from good old magic. And then Michael J. Fox was given awards as he was up there crumbling. And then, but the Bono thing is that's because he's what? Gave Hunter and him some extra passports in case they got to exit stage right, like Snagglepuss to Ireland. There's a lot of problems going on, but when I heard of the New Orleans bombing, here's what I thought. Listen to this. Speaker Johnson's from New Orleans. He's been funding Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu and ISIS are at war together, even though ISIS was created pretty much by Barack Hussein. We all know that. So this is an inside job, but it was created by our favorite gay couple. You know, Big Mike and Mr. ISIS founder. And so they created this, and this was the sleeper cell. I'll call him our Manchurian candidate. I don't know why Israel America allowed it, but they did. Perhaps it was to smokescreen us from the inside job of Silverstein on 9/11. But I want to point out, over this last administration, we have seen countless attacks by the Mossad on countries like Iran, and the fingerprints all smell like 9/11. It defines them as the only architect that pre-plants and bombs into buildings and demolishes them. And I want you to know Blinken, who is our good old Jewish Secretary of State, went to South Korea. In North Korea, Kim said, hey, he's a cause of all this, and tried to missile him. That's what you're seeing, the story right behind me. So we have New Orleans. We have ISIS. If you want to draw that connection, then the culprit is Johnson. Okay, we have U.S. veterans. Then the other one over in Vegas, that story doesn't add up to me. Again, we have 14 more days of this chaotic clown show where our government's going to try to give us everything except reality and the truth. We got to protect the president. I'm supposed to go out and talk to some people, but you know what? I'll tell you something else that's very interesting to me. But first, let me bring up some other news topics here. But this is a pretty interesting story behind me. Russia's gone through some of the same exact things that America has, and Putin says, look, I'm exactly like Trump, and if you're an illegal alien in Russia, get out now. And he ain't going to be as nice as Trump. He's put up his walls, and he's going to hit you AK-47 style. So angry Putin gives two choices to illegal immigrants after an Islamic attack that's happened in his country, and he's basically like F-A-F-O, and you're going to find about it from the Kremlin and what's called Christians from Russia on you like stink on you know what. Retribution, oblivion, and that's basically what's going to happen. And he's got to do that just so that he can, give people faith that he's going to protect Russia. So that's going on in Russia right now. And he also claims America. He says, America, we got to put Trump in now. We are being run by a chaotic clown show of cocaine-infested drug addicts. Putin and the Kremlin have direct evidence that not only Hunter, but Joe and Trudeau and all these people are just cocaine addicts that are just stealing the money from their country. And this is coming to light. Putin's got evidence, and this could be another reason why we see Trudeau resigning, because he said, look, I've got hardcore evidence as far as Trudeau being a cokehead and smuggling and stealing money, pretending like he's a private oil company. And so does India. When he got busted in India for being on cocaine, they had to fix his stuff. And this is, major news as far as in India and Russia exposing this twerp here. By the way, I don't know why Canada would pick Fidel Castro's son for any type of position, really. But as the alpha males come in, the beta males flee. This beta male behind me, he can't even cook a French fry. His French sucks, but congratulations, Canada, for getting rid of your chaotic clown show. Now, that's just the words from your own PM, but I'm glad to see this bowel movement leaving the good old maple tree. You see, Trudeau and Canada, you might be the 51st state more than you think. We'll chop you up into a few because, Winnipeg, Manitoba deserves to definitely be its own state, like, Texas. You guys are cooler, in my opinion, than the people in the rest of the country, but everybody's got their own thoughts, opinions. My son Eden's out there in Toronto, and it reminds me a lot of New York as far as, how people are. But we have beta male Trudeau giving his last show, and he sucks. You know who else sucks? Another guy that sucks is this Keir Starmer. I want you to know that Russia has got their missiles locked on you with the Reshnik, and he says, keep on talking, punk. I'll blow you from here to kingdom come. That's from the Kremlin to Carl Starmer, and Elon Musk calls him a liar, so I'm saying, you know what? He is. But he was backing Nigel Farage and then immediately pulled out. And a lot of people are claiming, Elon's going to try to be president. No, he's not. My question is, since he's South African, is he somehow qualified to be the prime minister of the United Kingdom? And if so, there's your go, Elon Musk. You could just rule from London, because I don't know, somehow you're all tied together from the Union Jack. But when you have beta males on the go, don't forget King Charles is a beta male. Macron is a beta male. He's leaving. Putin said, sit your ass down, son. I ain't listening to you about anything. Ukraine's mine. Poland, why are you letting the United States harbor 10,000 troops to attack Moscow? Putin has no choice but to hit our U.S. bases and to obliterate our troops that are there to try to enforce nuclear terrorism. This whole administration's been stolen. Jackwagon Joe's not giving you an order. This is Larry Fink and George Soros and the heroes that all got their medals. Good old Magic Johnson, I'm glad that we got a medal for AIDS. You know, it's just wonderful. I'm glad that you two got his medal too, even though he's from Ireland. Nothing against the Irish, but how is this an American medal for freedom? Oh, Kier John Pierre, I forget she's a gay immigrant. Why don't you give her one? So, we have a lot of interesting things going on. And it's wild. Now, here's a heads up flash for the United Kingdom. Apparently, you've got a lot of Pakistani gangs that are being groomed, and Musk is going to give you the information on that. He thinks that Starmer and the Labour Party in UK, Starmer, are under fire over allegations of covering up decades of child grooming and scandals to protect political vote banks. And Elon Musk has accused Starmer of being complicit in the rape of Britain, sparking widespread outrage. Okay, so a lot of these people are pedophiles. Do you want pedophiles in your country? I don't. If that's their fashion and their culture, get out. I don't want you people around at all. When I see your country, they look like cesspools. They smell like the toilet. You haven't figured out sewage, and I damn sure don't want a vaccine in me from a place that you came from. Don't care if it's China, India, Pakistan, all of those places, I want you to know, are unsanitary compared to the United States of America, period. And for us to even have the audacity to think that we should inject ourselves with any type of fluid, go check out the dirt road in front of all of those facilities. Dirt road. Understand the dirt coming in, the dirt coming out, the racism of untouchables of a 20% of society defecating right outside on the front door, to the air they breathe, to the particulates, to it going into an unsanitary world. I'm amazed we're still alive. Anyways, Pakistani grooming gangs. And I'll remind you that that other side, they can't be around children. Not the way we've created it in the American society or Australian or the United Kingdom or Ireland. They look at prepubescent children or items that are on the meal table. And we as Christians put our children first. And I know, speaking as a father and a grandfather, you laid a hand on any of mine and I will introduce you to your maker just as anybody would. We need to protect our country. We need to get these types of people and their philosophies, their values, as far away from the liberty that we have created through God and country. So we had something beautiful happen today. Good news. It's almost like ding dong, the witch is dead. We don't have to hear her. She couldn't say the Pledge of Allegiance, but I'm glad she could read this script. Here you go.
The whole number of the electors appointed to vote for President of the United States is 538. Within that whole number, the majority is 270. The votes for President of the United States are as follows. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 312 votes. Kamala D. Harris Kamala D. Harris of the state of California has received 226 votes. The whole number of electors appointed to vote for Vice President of the United States is 538. Within that whole number, a majority is 270. The votes for Vice President of the United States are as follows. J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio has received 312 votes. Tim Walz of the state of Minnesota has received 226 votes.
No more tampon two. Amen.
This announcement of the state of the vote by the President of the Senate shall be deemed a sufficient declaration of the persons elected President and Vice President of the United States, each for a term beginning on the 20th day of January 2025, and shall be entered together with the list of the votes on the journals of the House and the Senate. Thank you very much.
Okay, now I'm going to go to the amendment, the 25th Amendment, where we got Section 3, and it says, whenever the President transmits to the President pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives his written declaration that he is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office until he transmits them a written declaration to the contrary, such powers and duties shall be discharged by the Vice President as acting President. Now, I want you to know that in the earlier parts that I read 2 days ago, we can nullify the entirety. However, in this case, a new president has been elected. We have 13 days of, as what the Prime Minister of Canada calls, a chaotic clown show, as President Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin of Russia claims as a cocaine fuel-infested, dangerous, illegal administration. And he has had to safeguard Russia and everybody against our attacks. Blinken's out there trying to start a war. I want you to think Johnson approved Netanyahu. Netanyahu's a war criminal. That could be one of the reasons why this guy, if he was really an ISIS person, did what he did. Now, let's say he fought over there and murdered many children and had that on his conscience and then learned that there were no weapons of mass destruction. Everything we did was a lie. All the equipment he put there, he felt personally obliged to, and he saw our government give it to an enemy that we created. Whoa. So I don't have the memory a lot of people have. And when I saw Hillary Clinton get her Medal of Freedom, well, I'm the person in your family where if you don't have a long memory and you don't remember things, I don't like you and you don't like me. I'm the crampy, grumpy grandpa, I guess. What I remember about Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, I remember a young man named Christopher Stevens who was handling business as our representative in Benghazi. These buildings behind me represent where he was, where our outfit was to save him. We didn't make it in time. She didn't give a rat's ass. They burned his body and paraded it around the town. That's what I remember about this Medal of Freedom. Not kidding you. And then when she came back and explained it, she really didn't have the time. And she had to wipe her email clean and all of her servers. Do you guys remember that? In other words, every lie she had to get rid of. I mean, could you imagine? This is also the same group that stolen Bernie Sanders' vote to become president, where it would have been a runoff between Bernie Sanders and Trump like America wanted. But this same cabal that put Kamala up there is the same cabal that gave us this other type of answer. So Christopher Stevens, rest in peace. I want you to look at this Medal of Freedom nominee here.
Trying to be in the middle of this and understanding what was going on, nothing could be further from the truth. Was information developing? Was the situation fluid? Would we reach conclusions later that weren't reached initially? And I appreciate the...
Madam Secretary, do you disagree with me that a simple phone call to those evacuees to determine what happened wouldn't have ascertained immediately that there was no protest? I mean, that was a piece of information that could have been easily obtained.
Well, but Senator,
within hours, if not days.
Senator, when you're in these positions, the last thing you want to do is interfere with any other process going on.
I realize that's a good excuse.
Number two, no, it's the fact. Number two, I would recommend highly you read both what the ARB said about it and the classified ARB, because even today there are questions being raised. Now, we have no doubt they were terrorists, they were militants, they attacked us, they killed our people. But what was going on and why they were doing what they were doing?
No. Again, we were misled that there was supposedly protests and then something sprang out of that, an assault sprang out of that. And that was easily ascertained that was not the fact. And the American people could have known that within days, and they didn't know that.
With all due respect, the fact is we had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make? It is our job to figure out what happened and do everything we can to prevent it from ever happening again, Senator. Now, honestly, I will do my best to answer your questions about this, but the fact is that people were trying in real time to get to the best information.
What difference does it make, America? She only wiped her server clean, took a hammer, got rid of all that information. What difference did a U.S. ambassador's life make? Now, being an oil man, I'll let you know that the United States was in bad business with France, and that we owed, and especially they owed them, or Gaddafi, a whole bunch of money, not only in gold, but in oil. So we've helped out that government clean up its mess in Africa. And there's a reason why Africa has been kicking France out of every single asset that they've had during this beta transformation. In fact, I think France has now probably lost every asset in Africa that they've had, because of scandals and lies and deceit. Because they've been bad people in a bad government and have been deceit. You know, we don't even know if Macron's wife is a man. It's kind of like America used to be. Don't ask Joan Rivers about that. Actually, she's the one that gave her life to expose the crime. And from there, the floodgates opened on as to how wicked we really have been. God bless you and rest in peace, Joan Rivers. Again, I want you to know we've had this weird fog out. I want to let you listen to this man's testimony here for a bit, because it's something I'm hearing a lot.
But that's not the weird part, okay? Like, number one, it's weird because as it gets later in the day, fog should lighten, dissipate. And it's really not. But the weirdest part is the taste and smell. It smells like after you set off a bunch of fireworks, and like the taste of the air is, I mean, the only word I can think of is toxic. It's super weird. And so I'm going for my walk, and it's kind of worrying me a little bit. Let me know if you guys are experiencing something like that. That's weird. Yeah, I mean, it smells not right. And I'm 41. I've been through fog. This is something different. Let me know if you guys are experiencing something like that.
I want everybody to bundle up. You got extra blankets. Now's the time to donate them, especially if you don't need them. We got down into the 20s in Texas and Oklahoma. Up into South Dakota, up in Rapid City, 8 degrees, 16, 17 around Deadwood. Midwest of the United States, we've experienced a pretty horrific freeze. It's that global warming. I'm telling you. You know, it's just that global warming effect, and it's in action. It's getting real hot across the world. And the seasons, they might not exist, and that is just an optical illusion of snow, children. But if it's that hot, please go out and bake some cookies in that heat. Negative 20. And keep in mind that in areas such as Dallas, I'm going to use Dallas as an example. Dallas has these really beautiful overpasses with curves on them. And they are beautiful. But the one thing I knew the city planners never intended in Dallas is they never intended on freezing weather. So when you have these curves on overpasses, we're talking very treacherous situations. One of the most treacherous towns to be on high alert about, Fort Worth, Texas, traveling north on I-35 out of Fort Worth. That's where these big pileups have happened. Over bridges, I want you to just take a lot of extra caution as you drive around. We have gone into the freeze. We're going to have freezing temperatures down into the 20s throughout the Midwest in the United States throughout this week. So it's going to waft up into 30s, 37, but at night I'm seeing 22s, 10 degrees below. So, you know, I want you to think as far as Chicago, as far as every homeless person you've seen from New York to California to Texas, Austin, where are they going now? And understand our government just gave another $2.5 billion, shoot, last month, $20 billion, just like I said to the Ukraine. And that could have housed our entire veteran homeless population of 107,000 veterans. We could have purchased them a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom home on 2 acres of land, made it sustainable to where they'd have no water bill, heating bill, electric bill, AC bill for the rest of their lives. But we blew it on the Ukraine. We blew it on Israel, and people ask me why I hate those bastards. Their business is not our own. We are not the world police. The war on drugs is a war on us, and that's a violation of the Constitution of the United States of America. We need to protect our own, invest right here. As far as the takeover of Greenland, Denmark, this is your wake-up call. This is our peel of NATO. Why would we attack and take over a NATO country's asset if we were planning on staying in NATO? Putin, use this as your intel. Zelensky's got 13 days, then he's bailing to the United States while he's killed every single person in his own country through theatrics and being America's favorite laundromat. From Jackwagon Joe, who is never elected, to Vladimir Zelensky, who's already termed out. How much laundromat activity do you expect? Slovakia's not buying it. Hungary's not buying it. Germany, Chancellor Scholz just went to go kiss Putin's ass to ask him for gas, and he's getting it. But in response, Germany's shutting the door. Germany has now shut the door to the Ukraine. Only person that's still our puppet out there is Poland. I'll remind you, Poland, you're going to get your ass smashed and smashed hard. I don't want to say that, but they can hit you through the Black Sea, the Mediterranean, also Kaliningrad and the Baltic. You're getting it through 4 sides. You're completely surrounded. Slovakia hates you. Moldova's really not on your side. Nobody is on our side. For 13 more days, don't be on our side. All we represent are a whole bunch of deception, lies, homosexuality, greed, satanic, mothball, cult, ignorance. All they want to do is sacrifice our children in the name of Molech and pretend that that's a given right that they want to give you. No, my friends, Christ has won. Be vigilant. Understand they're going to cry. They're going to do stupid things. We need to safeguard the Super Bowl. And I'm more concerned about our own government doing something stupid than anyone else, because that would be their Hail Mary to stay in. Now, this certification, though, happened. So no matter what, my opinion, you can't. The Las Vegas incident still doesn't add up. The New Orleans incident doesn't add up. But like I said, who has been funding the enemies of ISIS but Speaker Johnson? That could be why New Orleans was hit. I didn't want to bring that so much up until he was confirmed, because it was important that he was in there so that we could confirm Trump. He'll be imperative to be passing some things, but like I said later on, I'm more of a fan of Jim Jordan or Rand Paul. That's just me, myself, and I. I want you to know that we have the freedom to choose any religion that we want. And we have that right. We have freedom of the press and freedom of speech, and I've never seen our freedom just, held back. And I want you to think about that as far as with January 6ers. The Constitution's been violated on us, America. It's been violated in a huge way. The United States is trying to give us this warning saying that Russia is dangerous, when everybody in the world knows that it's not Russia that's dangerous. It's you, Anthony Blinken, working with Benjamin Netanyahu. When you don't have the authority and you're taking advantage of Jackwagon Joe, you, Anthony Blinken, you're the guy that's directly responsible and hiding out from Congress as you're funding them their war weaponry, but will turn a blind eye because the lobbyists from Israel have bribed everybody in the majority, so you don't have to worry about it. But that's the truth, and we know it. You're not fooling anybody. But he wants us to know he's got a dire warning for us, America. He believes that Russia is dangerous. Oh? Well, aren't we the country putting nuclear bombs on their neighbors' shores? I mean, that's why we got mad at Cuba, right? Because they did that to us, but now we're doing that to them. Yeah. We've got some interesting things to know, both Biden and Joe. And Joe's basically, he's upset because he knows if he had stayed in, he could have possibly beat Trump, because, and this is probably how Joe thinks, even the ghost of Jackwagon Joe is better than Kamala Harris's best day. I'm not going to argue with you on that one, Joe. What I do know is that we have a beta male that is exiting. We have a lie of a system, and that is basically our entire administration. Again, Michael J. Fox. These are our heroes. Sorry, he's an actor who can get around. I respect his work. None of these people deserve the Medal of Freedom, not a damn one of them. If you would have given that Medal of Freedom to someone and you were a couple days too late, you should have given it to Carter for Habitat of Humanity. But we've got, we have basically, in my opinion, it was a pin-on badge of people like Cheney. And I want you to know at that January 6th commission, all of them helped cover to basically steal the government for that last administration. That's what he gave those awards for. They were, who helped me steal the government the most? I want to give them, I want to give them a badge of honor. So we have people that have been poisoned. I think Assad's been poisoned. He's in critical condition. Here's another one. Now, we'll see if Schultz makes it when he gets back from Russia. But then Ursula, I believe your days are numbered as well. She's going to probably die or get taken out. She's on her deathbed right now. But Putin took the gas, and we'll see. But the EU boss has been hit by a serious illness. And so we have her beta butt. This is a beta female, or an alpha beta female. And so these are the other stage members over there taking exit stage left. Okay, so we have NATO's going to be next. And again, heads up, Turkey's not in NATO, and Trump's taking Greenland. That means Turkey and the United States are out. All you people are completely screwed. You never paid your bill. Deal with it and deal with Putin. That's just the cliff notes of the truth, but if you can't really see the truth and stuff, then go ahead and keep on being that ostrich, okay? What should we as Americans do with Judge Marshon? I mean, really? State of New York, it says in the 24th Amendment that we have the right to have an election free from interference from the United States government or a state. And I'm tying it in because when Trump shows up, he has to pay a tax or another tax or poll tax. And by creating that, just in that lineage and line, you're violating the 24th Amendment. You are interfering. He always says election interference, but what I'm getting at is just by them taxing Trump, they're violating the Constitution, and they created a poll tax or other tax. That's the wording. And we have had an election, and every time he's had to fly his jet to New York, is that not a tax or other tax? Okay. New York, you've made a constitutional violation. Judge Juan Marshon, you need to be stripped, and you need to serve 10 years mandatory. I mean, I would say you're aiding and abetting the enemy, and that you and your daughter have also taken Article 2, Section 4 bribery. That's me being nice. Other prosecutors probably be way more vicious, but unfortunately, I doubt it. Trump, you need a litigator to clean house, somebody to make these people serve their terms. I will be at your Doge service to litigate on behalf of the people of the United States of America for free. And also, I would like to prosecute on behalf as far as January 6th and how everybody has been wronged. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, no cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. I believe that for showing up to your Congress and to your Capitol, and for doing your constitutional rights to walk in a place that you purchased, that cruel and unusual punishment has happened to every January 6er for the last 4 years straight, with that anniversary date being today. I want you to think about how people have lost their homes, their lives, their jobs, their possessions. $1 million won't cut it with a lot of them, especially today. And that was the cost of being a patriot. So if you can hear me, anybody in there, or anybody that has a family member that stood up, they are not bad Americans. They are great Americans. And I want to thank you for standing up for the United States of America. And as far as all the service members that will be returned in rank and pay, I would like to remind you that we won big time. And it's our time now. And so Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Charlie Kirk, there's going to be a lot of good Americans that bind together. I've seen new media companies like Blaze Media, everybody join in. Real America's Voice. There are people that care. There are organizations that are real. And I want you to stand behind those people that have put countless hours on the line for free, just like me, for God and country and freedom. Because we have something very wonderful here that we're going to need to maintain. Major News Network will hopefully grow and to have 48 other journalists. A big part's going to be about making America healthy again, teaching people how to build sustainably, teaching people about air to water so that we can have clean water everywhere in America and worldwide. About sustainable integration taught by Robert Plar. About building with new technologies with Adam Good. About probiotics, mushrooms to chelate the ground with Ken Hamilton. About extra grow, things like that that can truly help your soil. It's about these things. If we don't have these probiotics and mushrooms by Ken Hamilton and David Dennis, and then even industrial hemp from our colleagues up there in Italo, in Gincana, Joe Hickey and those guys, we have to combat Mother Nature and clean Mother Nature with Mother Nature. Chemicals won't do it. God's given us every enzyme, every bacteria, every mushroom, every plant we need. And Roundup takes 60 years to get out of the soil. But we discovered a method to get it out in a season. And I've taken time. I've reached out to experts like Tyrone B. Hayes, the expert scientist from Berkeley University, UC Berkeley, that proved all of those studies on how atrazine feminized people, fish, Mother Nature, and the adverse effects of chemicals on people. And do you notice it in society today? I would say the world does, because even China won't buy our pasta. Wake up, America. We have to. That's why I don't want to be selfish about this. I was like, Lord, why are you teaching me about cleaning beef and cleaning the ground and all these other things? And it's so that we could put it all together, so that I could educate thousands of you. So we're going to make America healthy again. I don't think I can do it alone. I think I need to have a TV show about it out on the ground and go from state to state. So you can contact us where we can apply these probiotics and mushrooms and hemp on your soil, bring it up to remediation organic standards with schools like Texas A&M, University of Texas, University of Oklahoma. And through third-party accountability, we can see if stuff's truly organic. Because what we're getting is a toxic nightmare. And it's affecting us from Alzheimer's to Parkinson's to birth defects to 77% of our children today not qualifying to fight for the military because they are too unhealthy. Just that fact alone will have us taken over. We are lucky that Russia is not our enemy, but China is. Now, I'm going to say right now, one of the things that we need to do, the biggest thing, and every day we're letting it slide. You'd say, well, why is it so imperative Trump gets in there today? What is this administration not doing that they need to do? Do you not know we are facing a severe casualty? We got fog coming in. Who's that coming in from? We got fog coming in from China. 100%. China's the culprit. But what I want to talk about is the disease. That's right, the disease. The diseases coming from China are out of control and they're scared. Don't you think? Isn't it peculiar how China's virus's activities to take over the world can coincide with our election? This damn country uses biological warfare to affect the world. This damn country steals every patent worldwide that even Russia doesn't take. China is the damn enemy. Xi Jinping is the enemy. It's not the Chinese people. For everybody that supports that guy, you're an ass clown. He's threatening Taiwan. He needs to sit his butt down, take over the Panama Canal, kick his ass out. If he wants to show some force, show him some force and put him back into the caveman days of long ago. They can't unite. Their bark is worse than their bite. The people we should fear is Russia, but we don't have to. It's because of Jesus. Don't laugh. But we share the same faith. And through that, blood is thicker than water. Mark my words. Jesus did stop China. They've been marked by literally dozens of magnitude 5 earthquakes. That's not terribly horrific, yet their building technology sucks so bad that they've had tragic results. As such, that has stopped them in their progression towards invading Taiwan over these next 13 days, which has been imperative for world peace and safety over throughout Asia. So you could call it a hidden force that has protected everybody in Asia, but I'd like to call it God. And I'd like to thank God for protecting all of us. And somehow God is going to protect all of us, even though our government's tried to do stupid things. So the thing most of all for us to know is, even though I'm telling you bad things, you have nothing to fear, because we're winning and God is in control. And finally, we can take a breath of fresh air and we can see that finish line at the end of the horizon. Things are getting cold here in America, but perhaps that's God's way of slowing things down that could happen, keeping people out of the streets so they don't congregate when otherwise they would. We don't know what's in the world and in the mind of God in omnipotence, but as we will look back, somehow we will see that we have been saved. And that's a beautiful thing. Again, China is scared right now. They've got these diseases out of control. I'm saying that we reach out to our congressmen, our new administration. We got to make America healthy again, and that starts with closing the door to third world countries that have too many diseases, starting with the biological war architect itself, the CCP, and China. Good day, and thank you for listening to me. Please like, please share, please subscribe, and I'll see you soon.